Good evening and Merry Christmas. You're watching News at 10 with me, Muhammad Amin Carlos. Well, the COVID-19 recovery rate in Malaysia now stands at 81.3% after another 1,441 patients fully recovered and discharged from hospitals as at noon today. Well, Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah said the number of remaining active cases also decreased to 18,576, despite the 1,247 new cases recorded by the Health Ministry today. In a statement, Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham said of the new infections, 2 were imported cases while the rest were local transmissions. He said Selangor continues to register the highest number of daily cases at 461, with the majority of the cases were contributed by the existing clusters as well as close contact screenings conducted by the ministry. He added that there are currently 108 patients being treated at the intensive care unit, with 47 of them requiring ventilator support. Malaysia's total fatality count now stands at 449 after 3 more COVID-19 related deaths were reported over the last 24 hours. These latest fatalities were detected in Sabah and Selangor, involving those who are aged 64 and above. The Health Ministry today also identified 4 new clusters while declaring the end of another 6. This latest development brings the total number of clusters reported in the country to 472, with 204 of them being active. Movement Control Order, or EMCO, will be enforced at the Westlight Workers' Dormitory in Tampoy Jaya Industrial Park, Johor Bahru, starting tomorrow until 8th January. Well, according to a statement by Senior Minister for Security, Dato' Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, the EMCO enforcement follows the spike in positive COVID-19 cases detected by the Health Ministry at the Workers' Dormitory. A 3-day screening program began on 21st December, which found 115 of the residents positive. All the residents are foreigners. He added that 31 housing units and affecting a total of 3,116 residents. Meanwhile, Dato' Sri Ismail said police detained 246 individuals for various MCO-related violations yesterday, with 236 of them issued compounds and 10 remanded. The violations include entertainment outlet activities, failing to provide customer detail records, not wearing face masks, and not practicing proper physical distancing. Op Benteng also saw the arrest of 76 illegal immigrants and 2 human traffickers, while 8 land vehicles were seized. Well, Christians in Malaysia celebrated Christmas on a modest note this year, as the country is currently battling against COVID-19. However, compliance to the Standard Operating Procedure, or SOP, which limit the number of guests and activities at churches, did not dampen the Christmas spirit, which still prevailed amid the pandemic. Many of the people agreed with the advice and directives given by the government in order to break the chain of virus transmission in the country.
They must sanitize their home. They must take care of their house. They must take care of their children. Otherwise, very hard, because people, they are all around. They go and visit them. We cannot say. One more thing, children are very affected. They are losing their school, education, everything.
Kalau boleh, kalau kita nak jemput orang pun, boleh kita nak jemput, tapi kena ada penjarakan juga. So minimum kat rumah orang kata 20, tapi kalau boleh dalam 5 ke 10 orang tu pun kita hold dulu untuk pagi. Tengah hari kita boleh jemput orang. Janji kita kena buat benda ni. Kalau kita tak buat, sekarang risau jadi apa-apa. Dengan sekarang ni peningkatan pun makin tinggi. So better kita cegah lebih awal, itu lagi bagus.
The National Security Council had recently agreed to allow Christian followers living in areas under the Conditional or Recovery Movement Control Order to participate in prayer ceremony for Christmas. Well, halal statuses of a company or factory can be made by consumers themselves through the Smart Halal and Verify Halal applications. And according to Jabatan Kemajuan Islam Malaysia Jakim Director of Halal Affairs, Bukhari Mat Akhir, consumers also have the responsibility to check in conjunction with enforcement and surveillance of halal statuses by the relevant authorities.
Halal, bersih halal itu bukan satu benda yang wajib. Dia berdasarkan sukarela, dan kesukarelaan ini jugalah yang membantu kita memertabatkan, meletakkan kualiti barangan halal yang dipersediakan halal itu ada satu tahap yang lebih baik. Dia ada kualiti yang lebih baik.
He further explained that JAKIM issues certifications on import products through the corresponding halal regulation bodies in their respective countries. There are 84 halal regulations from 46 countries certified by JAKIM. In addition to that, regulation and enforcement of the halal logo certification is managed by the Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Ministry, KPD and HEP. The Communications and Multimedia Ministry and the National Film Development Corporation Malaysia, FINAS, will be conducting continuous inspections at cinemas nationwide to make sure that they comply with the standard operating procedures, the SOPs set by the government to curb the spread of COVID-19. Well, for this purpose, a Lawatan Santai program to the cinema was held yesterday at the Golden Screen Cinemas, GSC, in Alamanda, Putrajaya. In a statement, FINAS said the program, which was officiated by the Multimedia Ministry Secretary General Dato Sri Muhammad Mintek, was aimed to monitor the implementation and compliance of SOPs in the cinema. Among those who attended the event were the Ministry's Deputy Secretary General for Telecommunications Infrastructure and Digital Economy, Tan Chuan O, and FINAS Chief Executive Officer Dr. Ahmad Idham Ahmad Nadri. Dato Sri Muhammad also visited the GSC projector room in order to monitor the operation and film screening process in the cinemas. FINAS noted that the Lawatan Santai session is able to enhance the strategic relationship between the Multimedia Ministry, FINAS and the cinema industry players in facing the challenges of economic recovery following the impact of the COVID-19 crisis. Johor State Assembly Speaker Tan Sri Muhammad bin Aziz was safely laid to rest at the Bukit Alif Muslim Cemetery in Johor at about 10 a.m. this morning. Now, the former Sri Gading Member of Parliament died at the age of 80 yesterday at the Sultan Ismail Hospital due to old age and kidney failure. His remains were brought to the cemetery after the funeral prayers led by Johor Islamic Religious Council advisor Dato Noh Gadut and was held at his residence at Taman Nong Chek in Johor Bahru. During the funeral, Chief Imam of Johor, Madzir Abdan Al-Hafiz, led the reading of Talqin, or the prayer for the deceased. Among the dignitaries that attended the ceremony include Johor Menteri Besar, Dato Hasni Muhammad, and the State Secretary, Dato Azmi Ruhani.
Satu negara merasakan kehilangan besar sebagai seorang tokoh pemimpin yang telah banyak menabur baktinya, khususnya dalam menyatu padukan orang-orang Melayu di negeri Johor.
The late Tan Sri Muhammad was a former Paridiani Assemblyman and also Sri Gading Member of Parliament before becoming the Johor State Assembly Speaker. Well, on 24th November, the whole country was shocked with a fatal shootout that occurred at the Malaysia-Thailand border involving smugglers and General Operations Force, or GOF, members. Well, during the incident, one GOF personnel, Sergeant Baharudin Ramli, was killed after taking 2 shots in the chest and stomach, while another member, Sergeant Norihantari, sustained severe injuries after being shot 3 times by the criminals. The tragedy acts as a proof that cross-border crimes are serious matters that should never be taken lightly. The incident occurred when the 2 GOF personnel were patrolling the respective areas before they encountered the group of smugglers. They were believed to be both locals and foreign nationals who were conducting smuggling activities at the border. On the following day, another member of the same battalion was also injured after being shot by an air rifle while he was on duty at Post M16 in Bukit Kayu Hitam. Chief of Defense Force General Tan Sri Effendi Buang described the event as a desperate act by the smugglers, as there were no other available routes on land or sea for them to breach the border.
Dengan operasi yang kita lakukan sekarang ni, diorang dah cop dah. Tempat tu dia tak boleh masuk. Cuma ada certain area dia masuk. Apabila dia masuk tu, dia masuk dengan cara macam orang desperate lah. Bersenjata apa semua. Ini yang kita, mana dia, apa yang kita buat selama ni, diorang dah macam kata orang terhempit lah. Terhempit. Sekarang ni diorang nak cari tempat mana diorang masuk.
Soon after the shootouts, the National Task Force, NTF, further enhanced and tightened control at all borders nationwide. The authorities also plan to increase the number of assets used in curbing the cross-border crimes, including drones and unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV.
Jadi dari segi penyelesaiannya secara menyeluruh. Kita bukan piecemeal satu-satu. Sebagai contoh, untuk memperkasakan kawalan kita di sempadan, di utara ni kita akan membina 2 pos kawalan sempadan. 2 lagi pos akan kita bina, dan juga equipment dari segi peralatan kita tambah lagi. Beberapa peralatan baru kita dah beli, kita tambah drone dan sebagainya lah.
NTF Commander Vice Admiral Dato Aris Adi Tan Abdullah explained that the operation was also strengthened through the implementation of Permanent Operational Procedures, or PTO, which was launched on 14 December.
Masing-masing ada cara melaksanakan operasi. Dengan wujudnya PTO ni, prosedur tetap operasi ni, maknanya kita selaraskan 19 agensi ni. Dia semua dalam tu. Konsepnya, aktanya, cara kita laksanakan operasinya, komunikasinya, saluran pemerintahannya, dan persiapan seorang setiap individu, keselamatan, kesihatan, semua dalam tu. So sesiapa sahaja libat diri dalam benteng ni, ia menjadikan satu panduan untuk mereka baca dulu, faham dulu sebelum melibatkan dalam operasi benteng ni.
Among the many achievements accomplished by the NTF include the seizure of about 205 million ringgit between May and 20th December, as well as the arrest of 14,885 individuals. Well, Selangor had recorded a total of 11 raw water pollution incidents this year, which caused 8 water supply disruptions in several areas. Well, 5 of them were categorized as critical cases as they severely affected public interest. Among the severe cases that happened this year was a diesel oil pollution in Sungai Selangor on 21st July. With 4 water treatment plants forced to temporarily suspend operations, more than 1 million consumers were affected by the disruption. Much to the residents' dismay, another water supply disruption occurred about 2 months later, involving almost 1.2 million residents in the Klang Valley. It happened due to the raw water pollution in Sungai Gong in Rawang. The third severe case was the water pollution along the Sungai Semenye, which led to the operational stoppage of Sungai Semenye and Bukit Tampoy treatment plants. The incident affected 274 areas and more than 300,000 account holders. Other pollution incidents that happened this year include the raw water pollution in Sungai Selangor in October, which affected 1.2 million consumers, as well as the odor pollution in November, which disrupted the water supply to 1.14 million people. Considering it is a continuous issue that has yet to be resolved, the Selangor Sendirian Berhad has planned a water catchment project as an alternative measure in the event of a recurrence of water supply disruption.
Ini projek 200 juta ringgit yang bakal dibelanjakan oleh kerajaan negeri untuk menyalurkan air yang kotor, yang tercemar, dan kita boleh ambil daripada tasik, ya, untuk loji Sungai Selangor fasa 1, 2, 3 dan juga Sungai Semenye. Tasik tersebutlah akan dapat membekalkan kepada pengguna.
Year 2020 has certainly been a challenging year for Indah Water Consortium Sendirian Berhad. Every time a pollution happened, the company had to spend some 600,000 ringgit to clean the treatment plants from the unwanted wastes.
Ini adalah satu kos yang tinggi lah untuk syarikat kami. So untuk setahun tu cuba bayangkan. Tapi kita bekerjasama lah dengan pihak berkuasa, pihak kementerian telah banyak membantu, pihak SPAN, Suruhanjaya Perkhidmatan Air Negara pun telah banyak membantu pihak kami untuk menangani masalah tersebut. So pihak kami telah mulakan usaha pemantauan bersama dan sangat bersyukur dengan PDRM, SPAN, Kementerian Alam Sekitar dan Air kerana sentiasa membantu kita.
The government has never taken the issue lightly, especially after taking into account the interests of the rakyat amid the pandemic. Several legal actions had been taken against the premises that were involved with serious offences that caused environmental pollution. On 23rd November, 2 men became the first individuals to face life imprisonment after being charged of sabotaging the water services and 5 other counts relating to Sungai Selangor pollution.
2020 will draw to a close in less than a week. In March, the International Olympic Committee announced the postponement of the 2020 Olympic Games. Well, the event was originally scheduled for 24th July until 9th August this year, but has been shelved to 23rd July until 8th August 2021.
This year's postponement of the world's largest sporting event, however, did not falter the spirits of the Malaysian contingent in their pursuit of the first Olympic gold medal since 1956. So far, 7 silver medals, the majority of it contributed by the shuttlers, is the benchmark for future national athletes competing in the Olympics. 12 Malaysian athletes have qualified for the Games by merit, and they are now thirsty for gold more than ever, and the remaining time need to be fully utilized. To ensure adequate preparation and training, the coaches are currently conducting training via online channels to connect with the athletes.
Dan kita lihat atlet-atlet kita pun banyak berlatih dalam rumah dan akhirnya kita dapat peluang untuk buat latihan secara khusus di mana satu camp latihan untuk MSN dan juga Akademi Badminton dijalankan untuk kelompok mereka. Jadi kita berterima kasih dengan kerajaan untuk berikan peluang untuk sukan kita masih berlatih dan kita harap untuk tahun depan benda macam ini dapat diperbaiki dan kita dapat buat lebih banyak competition untuk domestik sukan-sukan di dalam Malaysia.
In the meantime, preparations of the athletes throughout the Movement Control Order, the MCO, should not be questioned simply because there are not much coverage regarding it.
Bukan sahaja kita yang menghadapi masalah ini kerana COVID-19 ini melanda ke seluruh dunia. Apa yang kita harapkan, apa yang melanda atlet dan juga dunia sukan di negara kita ini akan menjadi satu pengajaran dan juga satu iktibar sambil mengumpul satu semangat baru bagi kita menghadapi sukan yang paling penting ialah sukan Olimpik yang akan berlangsung pada tahun 2021.
Throughout history, the Olympic Games have never been postponed. However, it has been cancelled in 1916, 1940 and 1944 due to World Wars I and II. Postponing the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games not only affects athletes' preparations to obtain participation slots, but also drastically increases organization costs. The additional expenditure now brings up the overall cost for the Olympic and Paralympic Games next year to over 60 billion ringgit. Head of Tokyo Olympics Organizing Committee, Yoshihiro Mori, said that if the COVID-19 pandemic persists, next year's Olympic Games faces a possibility of cancellation as a second postponement is practically impossible.
Well, the Kedah Darul Aman or KDA FC's list of players and coaches is almost completed. Is expected to be announced at the end of January next year. Well, Kedah Football Association KFA President Muhammad Sanusi Madnor said that although transitioning from Football Association FA to Football Club FC is a new experience, the preparations have nearly been completed.
Elaborating further on the matter, he said the preparations were made in accordance with the regulations and conditions set to enable the team to compete in the upcoming Malaysian League, the M-League season. Sanusi also said hereafter the team will be managed by KDA FC, so everything is still new and the club is still busy preparing for the next season. But with the players, coaches and financial support, he believes the club can be the best team in the country. Sanusi added that the announcement of the full lineup of players and coaches, in addition to the unveiling of the KDA FC team jersey, scheduled to take place on 15 January, would be postponed slightly following a few technical issues that need to be settled first. Meanwhile, KDA FC Chief Executive Officer Kamal Idris Ali said that although the process is new, things would go a lot smoother if there were parties interested in the club. He also said the club will also focus more on President's Cup players and help them to hone their talents in the league.
Well, and that concludes this evening's news at 10. Well, our top story, COVID-19 recovery rate in Malaysia now stands at 81.3%. And to all those celebrating, we would like to wish you a joyous and blissful Christmas and a happy New Year. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon on TV2. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos. Stay tuned to saluran Berita RTM and have a pleasant evening.